Hi, Adiel.
Hola, hola.
It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. Mi nombre es Adiel Cohen, soy un activista sionista judío y creador de contenido de Tel Aviv, Israel. Mi contenido habla sobre mi identidad judía, mi historia judía, mi familia, mis tradiciones, el conflicto israelí-árabe y después, el 7 de octubre, mi experiencia como un soldado en la guerra. And that's pretty much all the Spanish I know.
Wow.
So yeah, now we can switch to English. I've been doing this for the past 4 years now. I started during COVID. I downloaded TikTok. I didn't plan to become an activist. I never saw myself as someone who's like a content creator or an influencer. I wanted to just see videos, like watch videos.
Of course, like everyone else.
Like everyone else, yeah. And then the more I scrolled through TikTok, especially during 2020 when anti-Semitism was on the rise, especially on TikTok, and there was no one else to combat it, I saw more and more anti-Semitic content on TikTok, on the For You page. And at some point, I got pissed off. And I said, I have to start responding. There was one video of this Palestinian activist from Canada, and he made a video talking about 3 companies that you should boycott because they're complicit in Israeli war crimes. These companies were Ben & Jerry's, HP, the printer company, and I think it was Sabra Hummus. And I saw this and I was like, this is ridiculous. And I just responded with a video. I took part of his video and I responded with like my input on it. And like it took off and it went viral overnight. And some people reached out to me, some other Jewish TikTokers reached out to me and they told me, we have a WhatsApp group of Jews on TikTok, join us, we're helping each other, fighting anti-Semitism on the platform. And I said, sure, like a WhatsApp group with a bunch of strangers from a different country, let's go. It was COVID, so very tough times. And we really became a community and we keep in touch till this day. They are some of my best friends. Some of them made Aliyah, which is amazing. And it just took off. I started creating more and more content. It started with combating other videos. And then when I saw that I can actually make an impact and the videos are taking off, I said, maybe I can take another approach to this and instead of being on the defensive, start being on the offensive and make proactive Jewish content talking about who we are. Because I realized how many people just don't know who we are. Keep in mind, I lived in Israel my entire life.
Of course.
I was not exposed to anti-Semitism. I knew it existed, but I never really interacted with people.
Of course, you were inside Israel.
Exactly. And I realized people really don't know who we are. Let's start talking about who we are, about our people's history. And it worked. But then I realized that, I started getting questions from people like, how do you practice? Or can you show me how you do it in your family? And I realized that people are really looking for more than just the facts. They're looking for the personal touch as well.
Of course.
So I learned throughout my activism how to enhance my content and combine facts and information and my personal touch, my personal story, my family traditions. I'm a Yemenite Jew, so I also create content about Yemenite Jewish culture and identity and history, always showing my family. And I found my way, and I think this is how it started. Wow, it was a lot. I'm so sorry, but like.
No, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool.
Okay.
And how did you begin to like to get into it? Did you study something? Did you just saw the video?
It has always been a topic that I found interesting. Our people's history in general, history of the Middle East, but I never planned to make content and educate people about it. I was mostly a consumer. It really started when I started creating content, that I realized that this is what I want to do in life. And it was 1 year before I started.
It was kind of a calling.
Yeah, it was literally a calling. This was my calling. And at some point I realized that this is what I want to do. This is what I want to dedicate my life for. And I decided to go study political science and Middle East history at Tel Aviv University. Not because I want to get into politics. I hate politics. I'm the most non-political person that you'll know. I hate politicians even, I always say it. But I did want to understand politics. And more than that, I wanted to understand the history of the region that we live in, especially after the Abraham Accords, that a whole new world of opportunities opened up for us. And I wanted to get into this field and know more about our neighborhood. Since the 7th of October, all my platform, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, tripled themselves. Like in terms of followers, it's been very overwhelming, especially when I didn't really have time to process what's going on. First of all, what happened on October 7th in general, but also what happens on social media, because I was also serving in the war. Very, very overwhelming.
It was hard, like for us, like outside in the diaspora, like to see what's happening on October 7th. It was like heartbreaking, and even you didn't only had to make content, you went also into the war, like you were a soldier there.
Right. So on October 7th, I spent Simchat Torah with my sister and my family. We were up in the north, so we didn't really. We didn't get the rockets, but we got all the notifications, and we woke up at 6:30 a.m. when all the rocket attacks started, from just dozens and dozens of rocket attacks and notifications going into our phones. My aunt called us, and she said, my aunt back in Ramat Gan, where I live, also was in the range of the rockets. She told us something wrong is going on. We haven't left the mamad, the bomb shelter, for the past half an hour. And of course, the videos started coming out on social media and on Telegram. And if you know Israel, it's such a tiny country. It's enough that you post something on one Telegram group and the entire country sees it. We first saw the video of the pickup truck of the Hamas terrorists in Sderot. And at first, like when I saw this, I was like, this is not real, or this is weird. I was not sure what I was looking at, but I kind of dismissed it and said, okay, the police will take care of them. It's just one pickup truck. And then another video came of gun battle in the streets of Netivot. Now Netivot is a city farther away from Gaza, so I said, okay, this is tough. Like they had to drive for quite a while to get into Netivot, out of Gaza. And then of course the videos from the Nova Festival massacre, and the testimonies of people hiding in bushes and hiding in sinkholes in the desert, hiding from terrorists. And then more calls on the news of people saying, my dad was kidnapped, my mom was kidnapped, my brother was kidnapped. And not slowly, it was actually really fast. The catastrophe that happened unfolded right in front of our eyes.
It became real.
It became real, and I realized I will get called tonight. I knew it. I had a feeling, and I got a call from my commander in reserves. He told me, Adiel, pack up your stuff and come down south to base. And as soon as Shabbat was over, I took my stuff, went back home to Ramat Gan as fast as I could. I took a backpack, threw some socks and underpants in there. I didn't know how long I'm going to go for. I thought, okay, 1 week and I'll be back home. I didn't realize that I'm going to spend the next 2 months in uniform. And I went down south. A friend from my unit picked me up, and if you know Israel, you know that after Shabbat or holidays, the highways are packed, or jam-packed with people coming back home. The highways going down south were empty. It was a very eerie atmosphere. The only cars that were on the road were ambulances, military vehicles, and Zaka vehicles. Zaka is the unit that collects and takes care of the bodies. So very, very eerie, very unpleasant. I got to the base and we just stayed there for a few days. The commanders told us, just start preparing the vehicles. I'm a commander I'm a team commander in the rocket division of the artillery corps of the IDF. So I command a rocket launcher. Basically, it's a team of 3 people. Wow. And they said, start preparing your vehicles. We're going down to Gaza. And over the next few days, that's what we did. All the while, we see jet planes, we hear explosions, rocket attacks on the base. Insane. It was really insane. And then we got the call to duty to go down to the border with Gaza. And we drove the rocket launchers all together to Gaza through the fields. It took 24 hours to get from the base to the Gaza border because we drove,
It's heavy armor.
It is a very heavy armor. And if you know how the Iron Dome works, it doesn't cover open areas. So while we were driving through the fields, we had a Jeep in front of us telling the rest of the line that there's a rocket attack. And once there's a rocket attack, now I don't know what happens when a rocket hits a rocket launcher, but I'm assuming it's not good. So our command is to go as far as possible, as fast as possible, outside of the rocket launcher, lie in the field, on the ground, potentially in a pit hole or whatever, and
to seek for cover.
Yeah, seek for cover, and that's it. And I found myself several times, and we see the rockets coming out of Gaza because we're heading towards Gaza, and we see it. We see them coming out, and then we see the Iron Dome comes out, but we don't know if a rocket is going to hit the field. So I found myself lying down with my head covered, and we hear explosions a little far away, a little closer, and I found myself just saying Shema Yisrael, Shema Yisrael, Shema Yisrael. I think it was the first time in my life where I really saw this cliche of my life
flash before your eyes.
Before my eyes. But then we got to the Gaza border, and we stayed there for a few days. During those days, I also had the opportunity to visit the kibbutzim that were
attacked.
They were attacked. The bloodbath that happened there was something I was not prepared for. It doesn't matter how many videos I saw, and I saw all the videos that came out of Telegram. I saw them, all the graphic stuff, but nothing prepared me for the smell of the burnt blood and flesh and ashes, and seeing the destruction. Nothing prepared me for it. I couldn't even. I wanted to document it, and I did, but I couldn't even speak to the camera. I made a video just looking into the camera with all the destruction behind me, and I just started crying.
It's something that no one, I think, could handle. Not only the whole experience, only that experience.
It's something that the human mind can't comprehend. When you see, we went to Kfar Aza, and in Kfar Aza there's the infamous area that became known as the Road of Death. But this was the street of the students' quarters in the kibbutz. It's small units, very close to each other, a very communal feeling. And we go inside every apartment, every unit, and every unit had a different type of brutality. That was used to attack it. One unit, they threw a grenade into the living room, and it's just one unit of a living room, and then a bedroom, which is also a bomb shelter. So they just threw a grenade into the living room. The destruction was everywhere. Debris reached the ceiling. Everything looks like a tornado just went through there, and the floor was full of blood. It didn't even dry it, just blood. Another unit, they bombed it with RPG. The whole thing was burnt, and nothing was left. Another unit was just burnt, like they just set it on fire. To make a lot of, by the way, a lot of the people who lived in those units went into the bomb shelter to seek refuge from the rockets.
Of course.
But while there were rocket attacks, the terrorists went into their homes, and in order to get the people out of the mamadim, of the bomb shelters, they set the place on fire, and then made the people live through the windows where they
gunned them down.
Yeah, so this was my experience in the South, something that I really, words can't explain. Words can't explain the deep emotional trauma that I experienced there. Also, after that, we went up to the north, where I spent most of my service during the war. We spent around 2 months near the Lebanon border, Syria, Lebanon, Israel border, around this triangle, where we also had rocket attacks and drone attacks, and the uncertainty of not knowing what's going on, and will Hezbollah launch a full-scale war in Israel? We didn't know. What we know now is that we still need to be prepared. Now I'm dismissed from service. I was dismissed after 2 months, exactly 2 months after October 7th. And the commanders told us, be prepared for a call up to the north again in the next few months. All the while I was still making content and still trying to keep up with what's going on social media. I made videos responding to anti-Semitic videos on uniform, which added a whole new dimension of personal experience and personal touch to my videos. I think this is also what made my videos reach whole new audiences during the war. And also the fact that people are really looking for information because the war is really ongoing and it's such a hot topic.
It's completely different than to be in the ground when you don't have any information of what's going on. It must be so tough. Thank you for telling us and for being there.
Of course.
What you do, would you describe it as hasbara?
No.
Why not?
and we talked about this. I hate the word hasbara. I think it's watering down what we really should be doing, because we have nothing to explain. We don't need to explain or justify our existence. I feel like the concept of hasbara is very old-fashioned. It suited maybe back in early day when we had to establish and build the state, but I don't need to explain why we need to exist, why Israel has the right to exist. Israel exists, and that's it. Punto. Now let's start talking about the interesting stuff. Who are we? Who are the Jewish people? What is our history? What is our traditions? Right? Because most people, I think, outside of the Jewish community, and correct me if I'm wrong, you live here, they don't know who we are. They have no idea what Judaism is. Is it a nationality? Is it a religion? Is it a culture? Is it what is it?
An ethnic thing.
An ethnic group. People really don't know. And this is also what motivated me from the get-go to start making content, because I realized that people really don't know who we are. So let's just tell my story as a Jew and my experience. I call it activism, not hasbara. I would define myself as an activist. That's it.
That is a really original stance of being passive on responding why should we exist, on being on the active side, like on making your story be heard of what is, not what the others think we are not, on the speaking of what is.
Right. Nothing prepared me to deal with exposure and all of that. I'm a pretty, how how do you call it? I'm an introverted person.
Okay.
I'm not an extrovert at all, despite what people think about content creators and all of that. I like my privacy. I'm not into being the main character and all of that. This is why I also divided my personal Instagram, which was my original Instagram, and my activist Instagram. And my personal Instagram I keep to myself. I share my traveling there. I share my photography there. I also do photography sometimes. And I keep it to my friends. And I know this is my safe space. Whereas the rest of my audience can enjoy my content on my open page. I do take breaks sometimes because I think you mentioned the pressure. The pressure from the audience to create content and always be there and always respond to every single anti-Semite that opens their mouth. Like, say something about Kanye West, say something about, no, I don't want to sometimes. I really don't want to. At first, I didn't know where my limit was. I didn't know how to balance it.
Wow.
And I also said it to you, I have no idea what I'm doing. Till this day, I really have no idea what I'm doing and how I got to this place. I just do it because I'm having fun. But at sometimes, especially during my first years of activism, I didn't know where to put my own limit. Exactly, draw my own line. And it was very stressful, and I had to deal with this existential crisis that came up because of all the anti-Semitism that I handle all the time. And then, at some point I said, I feel burnt out. I have to take breaks. I vow to never again let my activism get in the way of my mental health. And that's it. Pretty much since then, I've been pretty on top of giving myself breaks. I think it's very important for activists and content creators to do. Otherwise, you get enslaved. And it doesn't matter how much your audience counts on you. It doesn't matter how much, there's anti-Semitism and we have to talk about it all the time. First of all, you have to take care of your mental health. And that's what I do.
And in the end, anti-Semitism, it's kind of a response to their own frustration, not only about Jews, about anything that has to be related to Judaism.
Yeah, we're getting into very deep, philosophical questions.
No. My question would be.
I'm all about it. Don't worry.
Yeah. No, I know. I've seen your content. Do you think that being intentional with your Judaism, with your identity, mm-hmm. could that not take away anti-Semitism, because we know anti-Semites don't care about what you do, they just hate you. Do you think being intentional with Judaism would create a new way of looking at Judaism? Because you talk about being passive with Judaism. In a way, it's being justifying your own existence. It's in a way, subjectively, you don't think it's worth, mm-hmm. so you have to justify it because it's not worth. But if you're intentional on your traditions, you can get to be not only the main character of your story, you can get to live.
Right. I think all of us as Jews, it's our duty to always be in a state of seeking to get closer and closer to our identity. Now, different Jews connect differently to their Judaism and their Jewish identity, and I'm not saying we should all be religious, we should all be nationalistic, or no. Each one should know where their people comes from, where Jews come from, what is our history, what are our traditions. You can choose to practice whatever you want from it, but you need to acknowledge it and you need to appreciate it and see it as the bigger picture of the Jewish people, and see yourself within this bigger picture, right? Because it's easy as Jewish individuals, especially in the diaspora, to distance yourself when you start experiencing anti-Semitism and say, oh, I'm not Zionist, I'm Jewish, I celebrate Hanukkah and all of that, but I have nothing to do with Israel. Mm-hmm. And we see it all the time. La asociación en los Estados Unidos es peor que aquí. This is our generation's challenge. This is our generation's nisayon, you know?
Yeah,
and we need to...
El desafío.
Sí, sí. So this is what it is, right? This is our nisayon. And we're dealing, of course, with external problems as well. But in order to deal with the external problems, we need to, first of all, understand who we are and look into ourselves first. Get to know your traditions, get to know your identity, be proud of your collective, of your community, and then go outside to the world and start telling your story as a Jew.
Tell us, what was your experience here in Mexico?
The Jewish community here in Mexico is nothing like I expected. I've been to Jewish communities all over the world. I've been to like the US, several communities, Europe, like I go pretty often. This community is like nothing I've ever seen before. First of all, the hospitality. The people, it's just been amazing all throughout. We've been here for only a week, but every single day we had like local members of the community taking care of us in terms of food and you know, inviting us for dinners and showing us around the community. We visited all the communities, Magen David, Monte Sinai, all the big communities. And it's been so amazing to meet such passionate, connected Jews who are proud of their identity, who are able to practice freely and proudly in a community that really gives them everything they need, from the age of kindergarten all the way to college. Jews are being taken care of, and it's so reassuring. And it's just all together an amazing opportunity, an amazing experience. I love this community, and I really can't wait to be back. Now, I'm not lying when I'm saying this is the best community I've been to in the diaspora. The best community, really. Like, I'm bad at lying. This is the best community.
It's an honor.
I'm telling you.
It's our Mexican, like detail,
Yeah.
And do you like the food here?
Oh, Mexican food is one of my favorites.
Wow.
Yeah. But I realize that I can't eat it like a few days in a row. I can't.
No, that's called wisdom, like common sense.
Yeah, no, but I love it. I tried chilaquiles for the first time in my life. Because...
Wait, the green or red? Like the chilaquiles?
I think they were both. It was like a mix.
Oh, yeah, like it's Suizos.
You're talking about the salsa itself?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm all about salsa verde. That's my thing.
Wow, no, I'm a red man
really?
myself. Yeah, but it's amazing. Okay, thank you very much. You want to add something?
No, just really thank you. Thank you for hosting us, and like being such an amazing community and such an inspiring community. And I can't wait to be back.